As soon as I say that, the first thing that pops up. Anyway.
It's your funeral, dude. I don't know what to tell you.
Oh, fuck. Good morning. Welcome back to another episode of A&M. A lot to talk about today. I am joined, as always, by Matthew. How you doing?
What's up, dude? I'm chilling, man.
We are going to get...
So, do we want to talk? So, like, I was like, do we want... Because I read the chapter, and I was like, it's a good fucking chapter.
Really
but
good
should we...
chapter.
We should probably spend the most of this talking about the anime, right? Or at least half of it. Or the live action. Yeah.
So I do want to start with the chapter, but I agree with you in terms of time, like the amount of time something gets, because I think we get through this chapter relatively quickly. Because I think there's only, to me at least, there was two main points that I really wanted to hit on that I think are interesting, and then the third most important thing of this chapter was it didn't say break next week, which was just fucking life-saving to me.
It's the tits.
If it said break next week again, I would have just gotten in a 10-car pile up.
I'm like, yeah, because I was like, there's a lot of like cool shit going on in this arc. I saw a thing that was like, for the first time since Marineford, all three admirals are fighting
in one arc. Yeah.
So I'm like, it's fucking sick.
And it's technically, yes, I saw that too. Technically, it's not all three admirals because two of them aren't admirals anymore.
Yeah. But the three admirals.
Correct. I don't think anyone actually, and Fujitora I think is a cool character. I think he's liked, but I think he will always, him and Green Bull's not like nearly as much, but I think they will always be very, very secondary characters because the three admirals had such an like, for example, and that's, I guess, the first major point of this story. Do you know when, and someone on Twitter found this for me, do you know when the last time we saw a Kainu fight somebody was, like, in real time?
Was it Bonnie? And she was tied up and he was, like, questioning her?
And what year do you think that was?
Yeah, I saw this thing. That was, like, in 2012.
Yeah, his last... close. His last attack was in 2013. Yeah. This man hasn't thrown an attack in 10 years in real time.
Yeah.
Like, that's how...
In One Piece time, it's only been 2 years.
Correct. And he's probably murdered several Marines that we just don't know about. So your boy's he's still been putting in work. And, he had to go after Yuta.
Just Aokiji.
That too. Between finding Aokiji, stopping Yuta from ending the world, and crushing multiple snail phones because he's shown up in like 3 movies.
Yuta. Oh, yeah. We're talking non-canon. Got it.
What you mean? You don't think she's she's canon. She's a real character.
Yeah. So's Foxy, but like,
Oh, Foxy.
Foxy's is canon.
Oh,
Foxy's more canon than Yuta, in my opinion. And I hate that.
He's literally more canon than her. All she is literally just Shanks as a kid. It's named Yuta. Yuta's dead. That is her canon storyline. That is the
story of Yuta.
That is, go watch the movie, guys. So we start here with Kuma. Now, I don't know if this was intentional. Some people are saying it. I don't necessarily agree, but I guess it's cool. I don't think this was foreshadowed 15 years ago. So the last 3 chapters are named after the 3 people that ended the first half of the story for the Straw Hats. We have gone Sentomaru, Kizaru, and now Kuma. And in that order was the way in which they started taking them down. Is they ran into Sentomaru, and it was like, okay, this is bad. Kizaru showed up. Oh, it's really bad. And then Kuma came in and launched everybody 1,000 miles away. Now, I'm not saying that is a 3-chapter title foreshadowed 15 years ago. But
it wouldn't be foreshadowed. It would be kind of like a Easter egg for people paying attention.
Yeah, I guess the Easter egg is in Kuma's story, I think. So I think there's one of the few interesting things to talk about this chapter is there's a reason why he shot everybody off where he did, because, and this isn't my original theory, so I'm not going to take credit for it, but people are saying he can't shoot past the red line for whatever reason, which is why he shot himself. He can't get
high enough, yeah.
Yeah, so he shot himself into the red line, climbed over, and now he's shooting himself again, which means, and this is interesting is that everywhere he had to shoot them, it's why no one ended up in the New World, basically.
Yeah.
Is your boy now the one that's weird is we don't really know where Mihawk's Island is located. I would assume. Well, no, it actually makes sense.
No,
Mihawk
it's
wouldn't be in
Grand
the New
Line.
World. Yeah.
If it was in the New World, he'd have to deal with emperors and shit.
And he'd have to do stuff. And that's just not fun.
Yeah. It's like Calm Belt. I can do the Calm Belt.
Yeah.
I can just launch him into Nami got launched into the sky.
That's an easy one. I think that one to me is easy to be like shoot to a sky island. It's because you can catch because we know there's weird airstreams. No, absolutely. She got launched and hit into an airstream.
Sure. Okay.
Like and that's established.
Yeah, but if that Sky Island was in the New World, she's dead.
That's a fact.
She dies.
He can't shoot past the red line. It's how it goes.
Also, now we know that like if Kuma was serious in a fight, he would just like launch people into the red line.
Oh no! If he was serious into a fight, I said it's probably over a year old now. When we would
he launch people to Fishman Island?
I think if Kuma had to be taken out of the story. Because if you look at Kuma from like a base standpoint, we discussed this early when we were talking, like this, like our early introduction to Kaido, and I was like, hey, well, how strong is Kaido in reference to the rest of the world? And at the time, I think we only really had Big Mom as like a comparison. I think we excluded Shanks because he's done anything. Kuma is borderline physically as strong as anybody walking the planet if he had his consciousness. He is literally as fast as anyone not named Kizaru. He is, I mean, no one does leg day in this world, but he is as built as any human. Like, even as he is deteriorating and he has years of deterioration under him, he is still a fucking tank. Like, there's an argument if you started doing like a D&D campaign and you were rolling stats for Kuma, his stats are arguably as good as Kaido's. He's just half robot and has been abused, beaten to shit, and treated like shit for the past 10 plus 15 years.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. And
he's
so
been
like
experimenting on a bit.
Yeah, but it's just a person. Like there's an argument. Like if Kuma wasn't turned into a weapon, like he would be back when we thought he was still like potentially the tyrant. Like there's a very good claim as to why he was a tyrant, because he'd be a monster.
Yeah.
Speaking of monsters, I had no fucking clue he was coming back this chapter. I really enjoyed this. I
didn't think we'd get it. Like you can tell we are in the end times because we've never bounced between different things in an arc ever.
And Akainu just being it makes sense because we've had all these little like everyone's area is known in terms of like we know Green Bull went out. He was just dealing with Weeble in real time probably a week ago at this point. So he's not by base. We know Fujitora has been sent out. We obviously know where Kizaru is. So it's like, oh shit, Holy Land's under attack. I don't know if these guys are supposed to be part of the Holy Knights, quote unquote. I would be a little disappointed if they were. And
I don't think so. I think they're just guards. You're talking about the people who chained up Kuma.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're just palace guards or Marijois guards.
Yeah. Because they're just and they come off as insignificant, which is fine if they're just regular guards at this point in the story. But it makes sense that all celestial dragons under attack. We got to send somebody in. You send in literally the biggest gun you have. And yeah, I was not ready for Akainu. I also like the fact that nobody likes Akainu. Your boy has no friends. The Gorosei don't like him. The regular celestial dragons don't like him.
Well, the regular celestial dragons don't like him because they're fucking privileged fuckers that have never had to deal with anything. Not eating, not anything, and then all of a sudden the food's gone and he's just the face that's getting like yelled at.
Correct, but that matters in terms of his place in the world when you are literally supposed to be like, because Kong does nothing, like Akainu is the bridge between like the real world and the celestial dragons. And yeah, at least what I got from this was not an issue during Sengoku's time. I'm also assuming this was not an issue during Kong's time, with the
Well, I'm like,
exception of
no
whatever
one,
incident Roger did.
yeah, no one put Marijois under siege.
Yeah.
Marijois has never been like in the last for like 200 plus years. Marijois has never been under siege. You could make a case that Kong and or Sengoku got bitched out, depending on the timeline, because Fisher Tiger invaded and like busted out Fishman.
They probably did. I just
That sounds like that's like a Sengoku, or that could have been why Kong had to step back because there was like that Boa Hancock like escaping and all that.
That would have been. I feel pretty confident that is a Kong thing because
that would have been Kong, no?
Because that's I think a little before episode 0. Because Hancock's almost 40, so that would have been right before episode 0, and
that's about 20 years in the past. And we know that almost like
30.
I can't remember if Sengoku was fleet admiral when he was dealing with Corazon.
No,
he wasn't fleet admiral yet, right?
Correct. I'm like 99% sure. That doesn't say in my head timeline. No, he was not fleet admiral yet. He would have been fleet admiral. I'll
look it up. I'll look it up.
You're good. My head and my initial answer was no, but he might have been. He might have just been the fleet admiral because I think his office is the same.
Yeah, and so that would have been, 10 years prior to the story, right?
Yeah, because it would have been because Hancock's almost 40, and she would have been like a teenager when Roger was executed.
Oh, he's been fleet admiral for over 20 years.
Sengoku?
Sengoku has been a fleet admiral since the Ohara incident 22 years ago.
No, he wasn't fleet during Ohara, was he?
Yeah, that's I wonder if that was answered in SBS.
I was gonna say because even your boy says Admiral Sengoku, which interesting.
Like, so Kong would have been so Kong would have been
Kong would have given it up right before Roger.
Let's see,
during Roger's life, but like right before Roger was actually captured and executed.
Yeah, he might have stepped down when Roger made it to Laugh Tale, because that would have been 22 years ago.
Yeah, and then Sengoku got a lot of Garp's credit internally, which then he would have been the right choice to promote. Okay, that timeline adds up. Okay. Yeah,
so he would have been 20.
He would have gotten 20, some bitched at.
Yeah, I'm a guess that like Sengoku was getting bitched out for the Fisher Tiger incident, at least.
Yeah. And yeah, so he's having his own little literal one-way conversation with Kuma because Kuma can't talk. Kuma can apparently experience pain because he was very scared and feeling pain this chapter, but no actual dialogue came from Kuma. We got the return of Hellhound, which literally just melts people's face off, nothing else.
I think he aims for people's heads to just like erase the head.
And I understand this is the wrong place to have this conversation. I just don't understand how it blows. He's magma, and magma is a very corrosive. It's not a clean cut. Like, it's a very like widespread type of thing going on here. And your boy gets clean fucking headshots and like clean cuts it off. Because your boy should be melting.
It's his hand, right? So like, it's not like he's throwing a plume of magma. It's like just his hand is coated in it, and then I'm guessing there's hockey in there also. So it's
like I said, wrong place to like
strong enough to take out Whitebeard's head,
Correct. And it also makes someone brought this up that I was listening to earlier. Is like, you know what? It actually makes more sense that Kuma keeps going with have his head blown off when it never made sense for Whitebeard to do it. It's like, wait a minute. One lost literally half of their brain, what should have shut them down right then and there. The other's actually just a robot, so it's fine if he loses half his head.
Yeah, as long as he's got whatever's pumping, still pumping, I guess.
Yeah, he's got blood though. That got confirmed. That was Akainu's big takeaway. Kuma takes this and his little fear sensor of his fear sensor microchip went, oh, I'm gonna fucking die. So he just bolts. He don't even try to use his power or nothing. He just fucking starts running. He's like, I lose this fight, and so let's go.
He's like, I'm literally just trying to make it to Egghead.
Yeah. And he shoots himself off before Akainu can hit him again. Now, I do think Akainu is trying to figure out where he's going. So I don't think this is I think part of this was he let him get out because he wants to know what the fuck's going on. Because Kuma has been a government weapon / tool for the better part of the last 15 years.
Mm-hmm.
We get this flashback with Akainu questioning Bonnie, which Jake, hilariously enough, was like, man, Akainu's a piece of shit. And I'm like, did we just find that out in 2023? Like, your boy was designed to be a piece of shit. So like, this conversation didn't take me by surprise at all. It was like, that's what he's supposed to be doing. He is
It's just
total
a flashback
justice asshole.
Yeah, it's a flashback panel. I think this is when like he captures Bonnie the first time.
Correct. We just don't get they differ. The line said is because I think the first time we get him is him going, I was scared when we lost you, which put more emphasis on like, oh, Bonnie being important to the world or the world government, versus this is him literally going, your dad's dead. He's going to be dead forever. Suck it up.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, but I'm not shocked that he is, because he is designed to be an asshole. And the only assholes that are designed to be more asshole than him are the Celestial Dragons themselves. And I guess maybe Green Bull, depending on where he falls on that list at the end of the story. But like, your boy is supposed to be an ass. So this wasn't a revelation in my mind.
I like how Jake was like, this is where I draw the line.
Not murdering people,
not
murdering his own allies.
Innocent Marines, not killing Ace, and then like laughing about it, basically. No. I draw the line here.
Yeah, it's like
not like forcing Aokiji to become a bad guy. No. This is the worst thing he's ever done. Is laugh at someone's
daughter.
Yeah, shit talking someone's daughter.
It's a fucked up world out here, man. So let me go back to it. But I did like, though, like I said, even though nothing here really shocked me, and you could argue in the long run, this is more of like a fan service moment in a weird way, because we just haven't seen Akainu in so long. And injuring an already injured Kuma didn't change anything. Kuma literally gave no dialogue, and Akainu's entire dialogue was, what are you doing? Which he could have done from his chair. This was just Oda being like, oh yeah, Magma Man still does things. Here's Magma Man. He blew someone else's head off, and keep going.
So, yeah. Well, I mean, if you're going to have someone protect Marijois, you want that extra Marine presence at Marijois, then you probably put the Fleet Admiral in.
Yeah.
Because technically the Gorosei only really exist to him. you know? So the Gorosei isn't known by everybody, and then the Holy Knights, fuck, nobody knows about them. Not even the readers.
That's a fact. Garland showed up and bounced just as fast as Garland is actually. See, that's why he thinks he's related to Shanks. We just got him, and we'll get him again in about 10 years.
Yeah,
he'll make his decade appearance and then bounce.
Yeah. So, yeah, watch it be revealed that Akainu is a Holy Knight. Like the Fleet Admiral is a Holy Knight.
I like that there. You brought that up like a month or two ago when we first got it, is that like certain positions become Holy Knights. Like you're with the government long enough. It's like it's like the Secret Service if the Secret Service wasn't a known entity. Like if there's just people, and I'm sure there's an actual, in real life, I'm sure there is a quote unquote secret service, like guys who have a specific role that the public doesn't get to know about because they have the authority to like kill on sight for certain shit. And so,
or they just defend. In the context of this, they're because they established that like there's more politics when you become Fleet Admiral. Like Garbs has said Garp said that a few times. Garp said that in the fucking live action. You know what I mean? He's like, I like my freedom.
We'll argue about that later. I tried really hard. I still don't love live action Garp, but I think my reason might be very jaded. But we'll get into that in about 5 to 10 minutes when we start talking about the live action. Which overall, I still think is a 9 out of 10. I don't want to let that, like, my 2 criticisms I think are probably totally unfair, and they're going to sound hypocritical to the reason that I like the show.
Yeah. Anyway, but like, yeah, no, I figure the Fleet Admiral is a holy knight. You become Fleet Admiral, you learn about the Gorosei, and you're a holy knight. So I
think I'm trying to be triggered in real time.
Jiraiya?
No. Damn, that is a way to do it though. So we go with it. Okay, so then we go back to Egghead because this is the cool part of it. This chapter, like, I think it's like 2 or 3 really, really cool fucking panels, which is a good chapter because One Piece has more context than probably any other piece of literature on the planet. So the context is cool, and it's got 2 or 3 really cool panels. But besides that, not a whole lot else is happening here.
Well, yeah, fight. I was basically right. Kizaru's like, I'm not trying to fight anybody. I'm literally just trying to kill. I'm just trying to complete a mission. Like, and that's really clear with, he's like, oh, it's clear you really are the man who took down Kaido. Like, and you can just hear the Japanese actor going, oh,
I can't wait for him. That's my favorite.
I'm not fighting you. Like,
he's my no, I want to know because Kizaru has, because yes, this is definitely like an assassination mission, right? Like he's trying to be an assassin.
Yeah, he's just trying to go in and get out.
He also has balls of steel because your boy sits there after however many chapters ago it is now, the prior arc going, yeah, maybe I should just go to Wano and fuck up Kaido and Big Mom, which is an insane statement said by any character in the series. Then to go as Luffy's hitting him going, oh yeah, this is you. Yeah, I feel it. You did take down Kaido. This is that 100 times stronger line. You might have been right.
Shit. Now I know how Akainu felt when he got hit by Whitebeard. That sucks. This sucks, dude.
But he's still not taking it like 100% serious. And I'm like, how confident do you have to be to like just stare down Empress and be like, yeah, this is because and I went back. It's like he's not even really scared of Whitebeard. Like, so this man has not shown fear the entirety. Like, I get it, you made of light. It's pretty hard to be scared of shit when you're made of light. But fuck, dude, like there is no breaking this man.
Yeah, it's why I'm also like, I still think Kizaru is a holy knight.
Could be.
I just think he is. Right, because I don't know, like it would really be cool if like that's just like a power level like you get to. You're like, oh, the little playthings are actually pretty strong. But the thing that like, because like Luffy's in gear, he's in Snake Man, and
gets, which I like the fact he is using his other gears, because I know a lot of people there was some concern that was like, hey, every fight's going to be gear 5 going forward. I like the fact he still is kind of ramping up things gear by gear because he can't fight very long in gear 5.
Yeah. Also, like, I mean, if you're going to use the other gears to assess
what you're dealing
like
with,
your opponent, yeah.
No, 1,000%.
No, for me, I'm like, he totally, like, the last panel for sure is very much like him getting. Oh, you want to wait?
We're gonna get to him. I also didn't get this, not to shit on Jake, but like he made a joke. He's like, Kizaru's ultimate move, shove. I'm like, this is just a kick. At least in the way I.
Yeah, he always kicks.
Yeah, and it's just he used physics, which is I go really fast. So what if I went really fast from really far? I just get more force. Like, and that's what he did. He flew far. I don't even know how fucking far away he is in reality. Like, he is.
Yeah.
Clearly, like, the island is in a massive distance. And your boy is like, all right, and now I'm going to go light speed. I did initially think it's kind of funny because his head turns to light first, and I don't know why Oda drew it that way, but it would have been hilarious if his actual, like, if he just fucking ramps him with his head. Like, if he just had, like, a light speed headbutt, like, that would be hilarious.
I
But
just
yeah,
think it's super cool because like he's just like instantaneous,
oh, yeah. This took
instantaneous speed.
animated. This is about 2 seconds. This is literally just,
No, this
whoop.
is a whole episode.
Well, fuck you. You're probably right, but fuck you still.
It's absolutely going to be a whole episode.
They're just like, you're going to charge up.
It'd be like,
Oh, shit.
light is so slow when we're all caught up with the fucking manga. Anyway, um,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
amazing how slow we can make Kizaru when we really have no material.
And I thought this was interesting is that your boy kicks him, and it's even still like, this is why this is the clever part of fighting the One Piece is always excelled at. This is not just kick him, get out of my way. I thought this was brilliant when he literally kicks him through the fucking robot. And I was like,
He kicks him through the robot to be pragmatic and take out the robot, and then he kicks him hard enough so that he flies through the explosive barrier. And like, it's literally,
it's brilliant.
it's just tactical. Like,
Yeah.
he's like, I'm not trying to fight you. If I kill you, great, but like, all I have to do is kill
Vegapunk.
I gotta kill Vegapunk and we're done.
Yeah.
Like,
And
like
now,
he like, because he kicks him through it, and then he kicks Bonnie through it, which I'm intrigued with how that plays out. But more importantly, like, Frankie's like, okay, I'll fight you, and he doesn't give a shit about Frankie. He
no,
doesn't
but
see
that moment I was bummed out because I thought it'd be cool as fuck to see literal Kizaru versus Kizaru, because Frankie's beam is essentially now just faux Kizaru.
Yeah.
And I thought I get it. Kizaru's got no interest in fighting himself, but like, man,
Kizaru has no interest in fighting, period. He's like, I'm just gonna get the job done. That's
the
it.
fanboy in me though, I was hyped. I saw that little panel on my phone, and it basically takes up your whole phone picture. I'm like, oh fuck yeah, Frankie's gonna do it. And then I was like, no, he's not. It's fucking Frankie at Egghead. I'll just let him do shit. I also liked so this is the part I'm not sure of. Did you read the official translation for the last chapter?
Yeah.
Okay. Kizaru doesn't say the line about Vegapunk. So I don't know if this is legit or not. He does not have a, oh, I've got to kill my old friend line. I don't remember exactly what his word for word, but he doesn't say that in the official translation. And so I saw some people were using that as a way to be like, for whatever reason, TCB, whoever's writing for him, wants to make Kizaru seem more sympathetic to the case. And now this chapter, obviously, we're not going to know until Sunday. But that line that's one of the differences between the official translation and the TCB scan from last week, or from 2 weeks ago now. We had a break. Fucking breaks. And so I don't know if Kizaru is supposed to be just like this heartless killing machine. Even with the line, I think he does a very good job of demonstrating not so much heartless, but he's a soldier, and he just does what he's told. And he doesn't care that he doesn't care that he's a cog in the machine and the world's bigger than him. He's just like, yeah, I get to do what I want. It's very Lucci-esque, where like Lucci doesn't give a fuck if he's the main character. He just wants to be able to kill and not go to jail for it.
Yeah.
And so, but we get over these next few panels, we get a bunch of Kizaru going like, man, I remember when Vegapunk was trying to make that big robot. Man, I remember when I used to have friends that I didn't have to kill.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, like, you can take it. It's how it's his context with it, where he's like, Sentomaru, you want to surrender, right? Like, just surrender. You were so adorable back then. Like, I don't know. I didn't think there was any malice in it.
no, I don't. So it's not so much malice. It's more so just, excuse me, it's what you would think of, which I don't think Kizaru needs to be an asshole. We've already got an asshole fleet admiral, an asshole regular admiral. We have a lawfully good other admiral. So Kizu just being the good soldier to me is like a really good blend between them. He's literally
Yeah,
neutral.
he's just a good soldier.
Yeah. Um, I like he starts talking to Bond. He's like, oh, because Kizu takes literally nothing seriously. Like, yes, he's here to assassinate people and he's doing a very good job of it. And he looks at Bond and goes, oh, look at you. You've gotten even taller. Would you like to be kicked again? Uh, the other, and I don't want to spend a whole lot of time on this one, but this is the
Kicked
other
in the
theory
head.
that people have put on Bonnie off this one interaction, that because Kizaru had to dodge it, this is supposedly Bonnie's take you out of existence attack. Like, she ages you so far one way, you are either too old to do anything or you're so young, you're like, she literally ages you out either way. And that's why Kizaru
Yeah.
supposedly had to dodge it. I don't know. Kizaru, if in throughout his experience, with the exception of when him versus Supernovas, which wasn't even like worth his time, he has always at least given some effort to dodge attacks and or block shit, even if it doesn't really hurt him. So I didn't take that out of here, that Bonnie has some super attack that just, murders people because she ages them too far one way. But I'm also not a big Bonnie fan, so I wasn't really looking for it either. And then she gets kicked the same way because Kizaru, well, he did call her an old friend. And I
Yeah.
don't know.
Because I think he spent a lot of time with Kuma and Vegapunk. And if he spent time with Kuma, Vegapunk, Sentamaru, then Bonnie the daughter was there.
Yeah.
Like, in a way, I'm like, this is really interesting because I'm like, we're gonna slowly get some Kizaru stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
I also like
but
the way
yeah,
his leg contorts because he's a 10-foot man. His leg is currently at like, I did it just think I like got out my car and looked like a weirdo and I just kicked my leg out as high as I could. And I'm like, your boy does that, holds it, and then twists his foot and kicks the other way. And I'm like,
yeah,
your boy has some impressive fucking leg control. Cause that's at Bonnie's head. And I don't think he's obviously much taller, but I'm like, I don't think she's short. Because I think standing next to Luffy, I think they're damn near the same height. And he just gets clean straight to the back of the fucking head. Like, this is a chancla chasing a child around the fucking living room with.
yeah.
Um,
I'm
and so
intrigued to see. I'm intrigued to see where Bonnie ends up.
then we get the laser, which nothing happens because Keezer's got no interest in Frankie. But don't worry, Frankie.
Or,
I'm ready for it.
or, hear me out. Before she passes through it, the explosion that we see is actually Kuma catching her because he's passed through it, and now Kuma's here.
Okay,
I
so
like
I
the
didn't.
idea that she went through it, and then we can see how tough Bonnie is because she got a fucking shit blown out of her.
I'm cool with either. I'll be real with you. I didn't think of Kuma potentially being there that quickly, which you know what? I like that because if we are getting these little Kizaru moments with everybody, Kuma would be the last person to like. Because I never thought of their relationship as an actual relationship, but that might have been one of the reasons why Kizaru was willing to also be experimented on. Like, if he had a relationship with Kuma and that was his friend, as much as he can have friends, um, that when Vegapunk told him about this idea, he might not have accepted it if it was just anybody, but he accepted the experimentation because it was Kuma specifically. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Um, then we
Yeah.
get
And then we get the
just the most movie scene ever, which is, hey, we did it. Except this is a horror movie. And when it's a horror movie and you think you're really close to the finish line, the monster's just right behind you. And I love the fucking shot of, I know everyone is looking at the last panel and that obviously caught everybody's attention. I
yeah,
love the panel of Kizaru just standing behind Vegapunk. And it's like,
because he just shows up. Yeah.
this is the monster. He's in the room. everybody dies, with the exception of we are now at the point of the story where we potentially have the biggest monster, and this entire panel is hilarious. This is when One Piece goes from this like deep introspective piece of literature, and it's like, oh my gosh, how great is this, to where it's like Oda sits in a room and goes, how funny can I fucking make this? You ever grabbed a 10-foot man and just held, like, the admirals have never looked unserious.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we've talked about height before, Justin. It doesn't fucking matter. No, I was like, because Jake was also like, how is he grabbing him? He doesn't have hockey. It's because he surprised him. Like, you can surprise. I don't even think it's
that. He just hockey users just passively have hockey. Like, no, we only got the overboard demonstration when Oda was like, this is what it looks like. But if you go back to pre-time skip, when hockey was used, we never got it. And I don't think you have to every single time, because then why wouldn't, like, we get the Black Lightning now, right? When like they really like clash. Yeah. Okay. You don't get Black Lightning on every single hit towards Kaido. You don't get Black Lightning every single hit on Big Mom. And that's the only way to do damage to them. It's like, hockey users are just passively, like, that's literally Shank's thing. He just walks around and people faint.
Can I give you a counter to that on why I think he just surprised Kuma? Like, I agree. I think hockey's hockey, whatever. We don't have to always coat the fist in black.
Mm-hmm.
My counter, though, is that back in Alabasta, Luffy rockets himself into Smoker and hits Smoker because Smoker didn't know it was coming. He surprised him and pushed him through, like basically knocked him into like another room, because he just happened to like rocket himself into Kuma or into Smoker. So you can totally surprise a Logia and not have the effects, like, because it means they have to be on guard. They're not just the embodiment of smoke.
So the only
also I got another counter for you. The little girl in Rogue Town who has ice cream, and she bumps into Smoker and puts ice cream on him. I don't think she has hockey, but
you want to deep dive it?
I don't think the ice cream had hockey. But if I don't want to deep dive anything, like I'm sure there's theories about that ice cream being the One Piece, but
Smoker found it, gave it away.
I think the more simple answer is sometimes you can just surprise the motherfucker. Because if you look at the panel directly under it, Kizaru looks fucking surprised. like what the fuck? That is the most surprised face I've ever seen in my life.
So here's my retort. I would agree with you that where Smoker comes into consideration is, I think that is a skill. I think that because I'll tell you why I don't think he's necessarily surprised, and I'll give you an actual reason. But I think that, yes, for lower level Logia users are not always in shape or on guard. Admirals are. The only reason why, and like this is why I think it's just hockey is hockey, and they just always constantly kind of have it to some degree. The only reason I'm not saying he's just completely surprised, even though yes, he is definitely taken back, because I don't think as a 10-foot human you get picked up very often.
He's definitely surprised, but here's my theory on why he's not surprised.
He's the only one whose eyes aren't popping out. He's the only one who's not affected by Gear 5. No, that's legit.
He's also the only one not looking at Luffy.
He looks back at Luffy. He literally, in this one, he looks back at Luffy. Kaido's eyes even popped the fuck out.
Because he was looking at Luffy.
No, not the first panel where he's getting grabbed, but if you look at the one underneath where he goes, there you are, he's the only one whose eyes aren't popping out. It's literally, you want to see this? You want to get a spoiler? No? Okay. We can spoil you. It's great. The spoiler for One Piece is you got to go back to 1937 and watch Bugs Bunny, and then you'll find out the secret of the One Piece. Like that's it. And wrong. This isn't a real argument. I'm not going to stay here very long. But like,
this is some fucking like Reddit autism fighting.
it is, and it's like, Noemi says hi.
Hey, Noemi.
The more interesting thing is here, the robot wakes up. Now, why do you think the robot wakes up?
I think he heard the sound of revolution. That's the drums, the drum of the heart, man.
But why didn't he hear it when he fought Lucci?
Ooh, good point. I don't know. Maybe he surprised the robot.
Here's
the robot wasn't ready when he fought Lucci.
I think his heartbeat's literally just louder. And as stupid as that sounds, hear me out. The first time it happens, it's obviously really loud because it's like into like this coronation type thing, right? It's like, oh shit, Joy Boy is here. Like we going full on boom, boom, boom. And that's why Zunisha hears it the first time Luffy transforms. I think whoever else, and I think this is going to be I'm not going to deep dive this theory, but like the quote unquote, oh, these are Joy Boy's like original crew or partners, is they're only going to hear it when your boy's a giant, because most likely Joy Boy was a giant.
Yeah.
So you're not going to hear his heartbeat when he's little Gear 5, but when he's big, your boy wakes up and goes, oh, what the fuck? My friend's back after 800 years?
Yeah, he resembles. Yeah, I like that theory, actually. I also like, I like the way you worded that. The giant robot is part of Joy Boy's OG crew.
Allies. I'm not gonna really specify what Joy Boy was because it's kind of it's weird to, even in this world, it's weird to be like
anything about him.
Yeah, it's weird to be like, yeah, they were pirates 800 years ago. It's like, well, why? Was there really a reason to be a pirate 800 years ago? Like,
yeah,
you know,
why not?
I mean, fuck it, you can do what you want, but it's like, so. But in those words, like his like Zunisha, this robot,
the ancient, like the idea of like the connection of the gum gum fruit in the ancient kingdom, because that's presumably where the robot's from, right? The ancient kingdom, because they had the tech,
most likely.
So yeah, no, I'm down. I like that theory. I think it's simple. With One Piece, I find that you should keep your theories more simple.
No, 1000%.
They always tend to be it always tends to be the simple answer.
Not that the ice cream had hockey and was secretly the One Piece. Although, if you're right about that, we have that on recorded audio. You could be a genius. Saying, we just edited a little bit to
make a fucking short. Make a fucking short.
Like we found out the One Piece before anybody.
It was in Rogue Town all along.
Absolutely. Smoker, you fucked up, kid.
Yeah. When Roger dies and he goes, I left it all in that one place. It was actually just the fucking ice cream shop down the road, and nobody thought to look at there.
Oh shit. I'm playing a lot of Pokemon. You had some Never Melt ice cream. That's the
Never Melt ice.
Yeah. Real quick before we get to the live action, what do we think really quick happens next week? We can't just say Keyser, the fight. It's now a fight between him and Keyser. Like, what do we think is like going to be the quote unquote next big thing to happen during Egghead, or do we even stay at Egghead?
I think Kuma shows up in the next chapter. I think we're not getting dick with that robot right away.
That's the hardest thing to fucking predict now with him, is his pacing is almost sporadic at this point, because sometimes he is just going 100 miles an hour because it's the final saga, and sometimes he writes like he has for 30 years, and it's like, dude, I can't fucking tell you what he's about to do. Like, I didn't think we were going to step away from Egghead for 3 months, but we did it.
I didn't think they'd solve the fucking laser grid.
Yeah,
in like 2 chapters.
I didn't think I'd get. I saw
Neither did
York.
Kid. Neither did York.
I saw Shanks and Kid and I was like, oh, that's some cool setup later down the road. And your boy's like, no, it's happening now. It's like, oh, okay, I guess it's happening now. And then I saw Law and Blackbird. I'm like, okay, that's cool setup for ladies. Like, no, that's also happening now. And it's like, Jesus, dude. I know you need to like help the live action out because you want 12 fucking seasons.
He could make, yeah. I think 12 seasons is reasonable. Like if he wants to do the whole
Define
One Piece.
reasonable. Like reasonable for who?
No, I mean like
12 is a different One Piece though. And like the live action is just different One Piece, which is still cool, but like we're not getting the quote unquote the full manga in 12 seasons worth of episodes. Like even
I think you would get
like you did.
But do you want to use this as a segue to the live action?
Yeah, because I'm not trying to predict next week. I have no fucking clue. Your boy's
I had an idea that Sanji has the bubble gun, so he like bubble guns Kizaru.
I'd be really disappointed if that worked.
And he goes, oh, but then that means Lucci has a mission where Lucci has to like pop the bubble. Because he has the finger that can literally like pop the bubble.
I'm standing on this is entirely a fanboy stance. Only on next panel I want to see with Lucci is Zoro just dragging his body. Like it's a complete fanboy stance. I get it. I'm not trying to just shit on Lucci. I like Lucci, but like I just want to see Zoro drag his body back and be like, what the fuck happened? Because Zoro would also be shocked if he pulled up and saw this, because Zoro is the other person who has seen none of Gear 5 Luffy.
Yeah, he doesn't know.
So he would just come back and be like, what the fuck's on the roof? Oh, it's Luffy. Why the fuck?
Why is that Luffy?
It's like
but yeah, I'm down to talk about the live action a bit. They confirmed Oda got to confirm today.
Did you see that video?
2. Yeah,
that was funny. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, he got to use the fucking snail that Iñaki brought him. And I was like, that's really fun. You could tell like he's very excited.
No, that's so the best thing. I have one critique of this show, and it's totally unfair. I understand that, but it's still a critique. But it's impossible to fix, so they'll never fix it. Is you can tell maybe the best thing about the live action is everybody is either a super fan or a really good job of faking being a super fan. Like going all the way like from the directors to what Oda's involved with, obviously, the actors, like it feels like this is a weird thing to quantify when you're trying to replicate something that exists, is like they want it to look really good. And like they're trying really hard to be like, no, even if I can't do this quote unquote 100% like the manga or the anime, obviously, like I want this to be the best version of this that it can be. And I think that's its greatest quality, is that like everyone feels it's like a group project that everybody's really trying to busting their ass on. And like that is even the things that are I was hoping Jake was going to be here with us, is because Jake would, I don't do the TV movie breakdowns of what things don't look great. Like
I think you have to get past that real quick. I think, and to the people that love One Piece that were shitting on it because they were like, can you believe it looks like this? One, it's called practical effects.
They wanted Nami's actor to really like just stab the shit out of herself. Like they wanted fucking blood.
They didn't want to fucking like yeah, right. You know what I mean? I'm like
if she's not bleeding and potentially going to the hospital, it's not fucking done right. Do it again, bitch.
Yeah, I'm like, y'all are out of your fucking mind. I'm surprised they even left that in.
They had to.
No,
that's an iconic scene.
It's iconic, and do we really want like it's? There were two things I was really surprised got left in. One, it was Zoro's, Kuina's I thought Kuina getting left in with the I'm not going to be anything special because I'm a woman. I thought that getting left in, I thought that wasn't, I didn't think they were going to do that, because I was like, oh, from a 90s perspective, I'm like, great. That's a little Shonen Jumpy. It's very Shonen Jump to like go women ain't shit.
Did you think
But
it was
in the
gonna fly in
context of
2023?
yeah, I didn't think they would do that. And I think they switch. I think they spend more time with Zoro going like she whoops Zoro's ass, and then Zoro's like, well, we'll just keep fighting. And then like Zoro's never able to beat her, which is basically what happens in the manga.
Yeah,
I
so
just
that's
was
pretty true to character.
yeah, I was just surprised they left that, and then the mutilate the body mutilation,
Nami?
because maybe again in the 90s it's in a manga in general great.
Wait till they try to get to Ohara. That's the part. That's really what I'm intrigued about.
I'm
Is
also
how
I Ohara. So here's this is how you know it's like on a streaming service and not on a
oh yeah
on cable, right? Like
yeah.
this, you can't show like a girl, and we're not talking like, I don't want to like downplay it, but like she's like 18, right? And she's fucking knifing herself. You can't show that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No.
And so I was surprised they showed it at all. I thought they would twist it and like maybe do a different thing.
I liked her. Why for whatever reason, I don't have like a real reason or how to phrase this. I liked the fact she walked with them to Arlong Park. I don't know why. Like
I did too.
in the manga, it's obviously this like, hey, and everybody gets it. So this is not like, I'm not calling Nami a damsel in distress, because Luffy literally has to save everybody. The first half of
Yeah,
the story is him saving
Nami ain't
everybody and then
Nami ain't a
realizing he
damsel
can't.
in distress.
Yeah, but I
But it's
like
like
the
he says
fact.
that shit in Strong World. He goes, "She's not. We're not here to save her. She was just the opening act." And I'm like, "Fuck yeah!"
Yeah,
Like he's like, "I'm not here to save Nami. Nami just introduced us."
and so yeah, so I like I said, there's, because when I say my critique, it's like I understand certain things have to be different. I understand certain things have to be uh, done a certain way. I was I'll get out of the way now. And I really enjoyed the piss out of the show. 9 out of 10. I think my MVPs in terms of characters, I think, were clearly better than the manga or live action. Kuro was actually scary. Buggy was actually scary. Um, Arlong's hate is really like, I think that's kind of blown out of proportion. I love Arlong's accent. I don't know why. Like the idea of I loved there's far more black people than there were in 90s One Piece, by the way. Like them
Yeah,
just kind
are
of
they
making
all the fishmen? Probably.
not even they put they made the I don't remember his name, but the dude in Sanji's the cook that Sanji would
Yeah,
always
yeah,
argue
yeah,
with,
yeah.
he's black, which if you look at his anime adaptation, it's the 90s. It's kind of subjective what he
He's
is.
kind of sunburned.
Yeah, and he's got the
Yeah,
lips. Jinx was the inspiration here. And it's like, but they fully went
yeah.
with it. I was just like, yeah, why not? Um, but the moments are a little weird to me, only because it's really hard to replicate moments. And so, like Sanji and Zeph's farewell, right? I didn't get I loved Kid Sanji and Zeph's interaction. I thought that was done really fucking well. Walking over there and being like, why this old fucking man ate his leg? Holy shit, I am in over my head. But adult Sanji saying farewell, I don't think hit the same way as, I don't know if I necessarily wanted the actor to get on like it's a big deal, like the way Sanji left, like getting on all
Mm-hmm.
fours, like bending his head down and being like, oh my gosh, thank you for everything, like this hysterical One Piece cry. And
Yeah, it looks good on manga. It looks it looks good in anime, but there are things that just don't translate to live action. And
yeah,
for
and I'm like,
me, that's something that
it's just hard to
doesn't
replicate that.
you honestly, you know what else? I guess there was a third thing I was surprised about. Zoro lifting his sword up after losing to Mihawk. I'm surprised that got left in. Less surprised than like certain other things.
Why is that one surprising?
It's like I thought it translated just fine, but and I think it plays more into his swordsman's honor.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things that looks real good on paper It looks really good in a storyboard. It looks really good in anime. And it can look cheesy. I thought it was really good that he even did the pose. Like he even like did that. You know what I mean?
I think
He
Zoro's
the actor that plays Zoro is also like,
really fucking good.
he's also really into One Piece.
Oh yeah.
And so you can tell that like Zoro is like, he really likes Zoro.
I
So
thought
he's you but Japanese. Sorry, brother.
yeah. And as weird as, and I agree with you, because swords look really cool on paper. Swords look really cool in the anime. It is hard to make swords look cool in real life. As somebody who
Yeah.
owns one, it's really hard to make those things look cool. We all
As
just
someone
think we
who
look cool,
yeah, as
and it
someone who
never does.
shot a movie with a sword in it, it doesn't look as cool as
No, it doesn't.
as
They
it
never
does
do.
in manga. Yeah.
Yeah. And so but I think he did a really good job because Zoro's not like a super in-depth character. And one of his probably his most redeeming factor of why he's such a large fan base is he is objectively the coolest Straw Hat. Like that's pretty much his only real characteristic, and being 110% loyal to Luffy. Like that's really it as a character.
Yeah.
Because even his other characteristic is all based off his flashback, which 1,000 chapters in, I've got like 5 panels of Quina. Sorry, that's not really my thing. And so, but he did a really good job of still Zoro looking cool. Although, I don't know if you've seen it. There's this one during the fight in Morgan, there's
Oh yeah, I've
somebody,
seen it.
this fucking
Yes.
sword bending completely, and people were like, "Wait a minute!" And it's like,
Yeah.
dog,
I
they had a lot going on. They had to put in the fake. It's
Well,
fine.
here's my thing. Here's my thing, right? And
Boy did a barrel roll.
I say this all the time. And I go, if it's an old Star Wars, it's a story from the Star Wars set, and the guy that plays Luke Skywalker, the main character, is worried about continuity, right? He's like, oh, I think I had dirt on my face here. I think my hair looked this way in this last shot. And the Harrison Ford, another very famous actor, he looks at him and he goes, if the audience is worried about your hair, then we are in big trouble. Basically meaning they're not paying attention to the movie if they're paying attention to your hair.
No,
And
fair.
so if you are, it's why, and this was before obviously like we could freeze frame shit. Yeah. You know, your average viewer of television and or movies wouldn't just freeze it to check shit out. And so I'm like, if Zoro doing a barrel roll and obviously not having a actual sword on him when he does the barrel roll, and you froze it at the perfect time to see, like, if you're looking at this whole scene, because that's a pretty chaotic scene, right?
Oh yeah.
And that's the thing that caught your eye and that took you out of it. Valid, fine, you're valid to your own opinions, but I didn't notice it
No, we should stop
until
saying that. People aren't valid to their own opinions. A lot of opinions fucking suck, and y'all should feel bad for them.
I agree. Yeah.
Like
But if you're entitled to have a shit opinion, or a shit take, like if you're gonna like look at that and go, this is why it's bad, I think you're missing something.
no, yeah,
And I think that's not I think that's a really sad take to go,
this is why
really,
it's bad.
that like you walked into this wanting it to be bad, right?
Oh yeah.
You were
Well, everybody wants
excited
to
to
be a
like
critic.
start nitpicking the shit out of it. You're the person that was like, I can't believe Arlong looks like this.
No, I
And
thought
you're
Arlong
like,
Park looked cool as fuck.
I thought Arlong Park looked cool. I love that they used practical effects for the fisherman. Like, as cheesy as you want to say he looked, because I saw a lot of people razzing him for looking like that. I was like, when you get to actually interact with something that looks a certain way, it's the actors are different. the actors go, oh, this is something, versus like, oh well, look at this green wall and just pretend that this guy that has a stick with a tennis ball at the end of it is like 10 feet tall and has a big scary nose. I want you to stare right at the tennis ball and now act. And it's different. It's absolutely different. When it's done well, it's the first Avengers movie. When it's done well. When it's done shit, it's Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, where you have these incredible actors that are getting paid so much money standing on an X. You know they're standing on an X in a room full of green and are being told, hey, Academy Award winner so-and-so, or hey, you beloved actor Paul Rudd, this is the quantum realm, and this is like, over there is a castle, and over there is the slime bug thing, and over there is a blah 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 blah. Now act. And it's the equivalent of like whipping and going, now dance, monkey. Use your brain, pretend. Like, it's fucking weird. And that's it when it's done bad. If you can keep it in the camera, i.e. practical effects, and then maybe you want to add certain things later in post, like little things that like kind of like smooth it out, great. But practical effects all day, it's more expensive. Maybe not so much now that we actually get to hopefully unionize our fucking special effects houses. That'd be fucking the tits if they got paid better, because then we probably go back to practical because it's cheaper.
This is Matt's pitch. Pay the right.
This is Matt's pitch for keep it in the camera. It looks better. In the long run, will it age out? Will it look kind of cheesy? Yeah. But there's something about watching old 80s movies where it's a little cheesy, but you know what you're getting into because you go, oh, it's an 80s movie. I know what I'm getting into because I'm watching a live action version of a manga where people they don't have cell phones, they have snails that look like them when they talk. Oh, and that's how we communicate around the fucking world. Also, there are fishmen that look like giant walking fish. Also, the main character stretches. So I'm not looking for Game of Thrones, I'll be honest. I'm not looking for Breaking Bad. I'm not looking for The Bear. You know what I mean?
Cocaine Bear?
Oh, you guys haven't seen, you wouldn't like The Bear. Yeah, you might like The Bear. It's that chef show on FX.
No idea.
Noemi would love it. It's super stressful if you worked in a kitchen, but it's one of the most simple shows I've ever seen.
And I'm watching Suits addictively right now.
Oh yeah, we'll talk. Yeah, Suits is Suits, but I'll text her. The Bear's great, man.
Suits is Suits.
I don't know, man. The sex scene in the file room's great.
Matt said the only reason the Suits is good is because of the Meghan Markle sex scenes.
Absolutely.
She says they're not even that good.
Well, that's a queen, so.
She says Meghan's hot, though.
Meghan's hot. I'll be real, like, that's why your boy likes.
You said, wait, say that one more time?
If you want to watch good sex scenes, to watch Insecure. Those motherfuckers hit.
You ever watched Insecure?
No.
Oh, she says the sex scene's an Insecure hit.
Dude, the file room sex scene is like fucking great in Suits. Don't get me started.
Matt says the file room sex scene is peak cinema.
Yeah, tell them that's like baby compared to the shit you will see on Insecure.
She says an insecure Issa Rae, you can see her whole pussy as they flip her upside down.
Jesus Christ. Good for
Not
And
not the whole pussy. All right, we gotta cut that.
Nah, that's our best material. That's the best thing we've said all night.
Tell Noemi she'd love the bear.
Matt says you would love the bear.
I would love the bear.
Yeah.
No sex scenes, but
There's
just
no sex
really
scenes.
good.
Bear.
The bear. She just looked so disappointed when I said no sex scenes.
No sex scenes.
Oh, I want to say this too with the other scene that I thought is Nami's scene also is another one I remember. I went back and even rewatched it today to make sure I wasn't bugging. The actor for Luffy is so serious the entire time, which is different than what he does in the manga and anime. Like even the first,
really, you got serious from him?
I got super serious from the live action scene with Nami where she's going, "I told you to leave." He's like, "I know," and he like has this really fucking like, I mean, he's serious ass look, and it's like, "Why don't you?" It's like, "I told you this has nothing to do with you." I know, and he's super serious. I'm like, in the anime, Luffy literally does the whole fucking like airheaded, like, "Yeah, you did, uh-huh." Like he doesn't get serious until she's full blown stabbing the shit out of herself, and then he grabs her and goes.
I thought it was an interesting take, but
So
I
the
also
tone
was
of
like,
that scene to me didn't feel. Now, once again, all of these characters, and they did really good with them. So that's why I'm saying there's a very unfair and unrealistic critique. These are different Straw Hats than what we quote. Like these aren't your grandparent Straw Hats, essentially, right? Like they are slightly off brand, which is fine because they're still really cool and still still share probably 95% with the characters.
I think calling them off brand is
they're not like Dr. Thunder
terminology. I think that's the wrong terminology. I think they're
different.
They're a live action take.
Yeah, they're different
on
than
a world where
I get all those points.
Zoro lifts up his swords and then his muscles inflate so that he can imitate a gorilla. So
I'm shocked they actually kept 3 swords. I don't want to say shit that I'm shocked they kept in there. Your boy did it. Like when he puts his sword in his mouth, he is like, I mean, this you could tell he's a fan because it's like, I'm gonna make this look fucking cool, dude. Watch me fucking bite my sword. He's so excited to do that.
And then Luffy going, "Oh, that's where it goes." Where it's like Luffy definitely thought he kept that in his butt. Like Luffy was that. The Iñaki version of it is very like, oh, in the mouth.
Yeah,
should have guessed. That's
what I'm saying though. Like they are, and to some characters really good. Like I said, I think Buggy is better. You brought up the point of
I thought Buggy was better.
Buggy's character is potentially changed, and this is the I don't even know if revisionist history technically qualifies here, but like Buggy's character maybe being a little more violent or a little more taken seriously is because back in 1996 we had no idea what crew he was a part of. These writers obviously now all know, okay, we got to make him a little scarier because he's already technically done the whole voyage. Like he's already gone damn near.
I said more knowledgeable.
Yeah. Well,
and I'm like, he should be more knowledgeable. Scary is scary, you know what I mean? But
your boy had a whole town kidnapped and made them hostage situation them to clap when he wanted a joke.
Yeah,
like that's not Buggy from the manga or Buggy from the anime. Like that's a scary fucking pirate.
And it works because when you're introduced, again, I had back in college, we talked a lot about, I wrote like this little like short pirate story that was more based on One Piece. And I had a professor go, maybe I wouldn't call them pirates, maybe sailors. Pirates act a certain way. And she would talk about how like when you say something is something, you expect it to follow certain rules. And it's why people hate Twilight. It's why a lot of people don't like Twilight, because the vampires don't follow certain rules that vampires are supposed to follow. vampires aren't supposed to shimmer in the sunlight. Vampires are creatures of the night, right? So when you get this, like, I like it because it goes, pirates are bad. Like, pirates are like scared. Like, pirates are supposed to be like these menaces of the sea. There's a reason why, like, Garp is hunting down pirates, right? And the Marines are hunting down pirates because they're bad. So we need to show how bad, because if we only get Luffy, there's this disconnect of like, well, pirates don't have a code. Pirates follow a code and this and that. No. Pirates are fucking bad. And I like him going, he's like, well, I'm a good pirate. And I like that actually quite a bit.
No, I agree.
I do appreciate, again, I think Buggy infinitely better in the anime, or in the live action. I'm gonna keep doing that. I don't know why.
No, it's
I don't watch the anime.
We've only had one. We've had one for about 3 weeks. We've had the other two for 20 plus years.
Yeah. So I'm like, I go, look, I got one nose joke out of it. It's fucking great. You know who else liked that nose joke? Alex.
And she was shitting on the live action.
Oh, she honestly, she doesn't give two fucks, but the nose joke made her chuckle, and I thought that was very funny.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I do think, and that's why it's kind of revisionist. I do think some of Buggy's like quote unquote upgrades or change in character, I do think are more prevalent because of who he turned out to be, versus if we knew you're a one-off character. Like, I'm a little nervous for how they're going to do Enel, because I said this in the group chat where I'm like, if we're doing more seasons, what are we going to
thinking about? Yeah, we
have to do with Skypiea, which was literally, and I won't let people change history on me, was the most unanimously disliked arc in the franchise for 15, 18 years. And it didn't become worth note until, how long have we had Gear 5? A little over a year.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I would be,
and you can't revamp Skypiea entirely to be like, oh, this is actually like one of the most important arcs ever. Like, it's still kind of this goofy, Enel's a goofy fucking weirdo who just shoots lightning.
Can I rebuttal that a little bit though? If my theory is correct, I think every season covers a saga. And if season 2 covers all of Baroque works, and we know we're not getting that for like 3 years down the road, right? Like, that'll probably, because of the writer's strike also, like, Oda can write as much as he wants in Japan, but a team of writers are going to have to like go through it, and like he'll have to work collaboratively. Kind of bring it down a little. But also, if where do we think One Piece will be in 3 years? When we start looking at scripts to make Skypiea, right? Let's be real. We have to get through all of Baroque works. If it goes the way I think it'll go, I have a feeling they will break that down in half anyway. I think we'll get 2 seasons of the Baroque work saga. I just think that's how it'll work out. So realistically, like 4 or 5 years down the line, when we get Skypiea, where is One Piece in 5 years? Do we know more? Can we make context in Skypiea? Like, we already have Gear 5. So can we like start introducing the fact that there's a sun god? Can we start introducing the fact that Joy Boy is a character? Like, maybe we can introduce, you see what I'm saying? Like, we can introduce a lot of little things. Maybe we can introduce Erouge, if he has a bigger role in the overall story. Like, there are a lot of like little things they can add, like they did with season 1, where there's like, hey, context has changed. the Goa Kingdom is a kingdom in the East Blue, and it's the only kingdom we know about in the East Blue. And so the pirates need to, like, running around the Goa Kingdom would be something pirates do and criminals do. You know, I think Buggy sails on the Roger crew, so he would fucking know what a devil fruit is. You know what I mean? He would understand. He wouldn't be surprised at seeing a rubber man, you know, because he sailed with Roger. I thought the most interesting one is Arlong. And it's because Arlong isn't just a thug in East Blue, bullying East Blue. Hey, I got permission from a warlord to come out here and like bully y'all, you know, which is kind of what he is in the manga and the anime. Oh, yeah. You know, no, he's out there because Fisher Tiger gets betrayed by humans. He already didn't really like humans. He didn't trust humans, but Fisher Tiger told him to like chill. Fisher Tiger gets betrayed by the world government. His friend Jimbei joins the world government. And so he's not just a thug in the East Blue. He's trying to amass power in the East Blue so that he can take over all the oceans, right? It's the context, it's the little context details that we know because, you know, we have 20 years of content that we can like fill into East Blue and make it a little bit cleaner. I'll say so when I'm like, by the time we get to Skypiea, there's so much more context. I mean, right now, if they were to write scripts for Skypiea, there's so much context we can write now.
There is, I think, probably, and this is why, the same way I said, I think my critique with some of the big scenes are unfair, because I think besides Zoro Mihawk, I think that was the only one I watched and I was like, okay, that felt like pretty, like the feeling was on the dot. Because, let me stay concise here. The same reason why I had issues with the scenes, and I think it is unfair, is because I'm comparing them to a moment that already exists, and it's very hard to recapture a moment because the first time you see it, that's your experience, that's your moment. That's why they're magical. That's why they turn into these fucking 30-second YouTube videos that get bajillions of views, because of people are like, "Fuck yeah, I remember seeing that when I was 10. Let me watch it 300,000 times."
Now that all the anime is a clip show, so who gives a shit?
And so, and One Piece is this very subtly written show throughout its existence. It's like all these subtle little clues that turn into these major clues, and that's how the world's built. And it's this really cool adventure to go on. And I think, and this is why I say it's probably unfair, what I'm going to say is, like I said, I can acknowledge they're different from a wide perspective of like, okay, yeah, this is a different show than what I've just read. But it is sometimes hard in the moment of an episode. Like I said, I think it's funny. Like when I first heard Arlong talk, I thought it was funny, but I did catch myself a couple times going, I'm like, yeah, but he doesn't sound like scary. And Arlong, I remember in real time, I was like, Arlong was scary. Even if in the grand scheme of things, he's not super scary. Like he was scary. And his voice now is just like, yeah, it's funny, but it doesn't get me scary. But I was while the episode's going on and I'm in that moment, I lose that wide context of like, it's not Arlong who's literally rips his fucking teeth out and tries to murder you or brings out the 10-foot spear. Like that's just that character's just not gonna exist in this world. And so that part I kind of have to separate myself more in the moment of watching. And so with Skypiea, to me, it's like, yeah, Skypiea is only cool because of the 20-year game Oda was willing to play with it and all the little subtlety left there and said, I'm not going to touch it for literally 2 decades versus, and I think it's impossible for them to write well, by the way, and not write well. I'm sorry. It's impossible them for the write for in a way that everybody's going to like it, because you're going to have these people that are, everybody's looking for the Easter eggs. Like people that have read One Piece forward and backwards, like us, we're looking for Easter eggs. We're not looking to watch the story from its start to its finish as a brand new movie or brand new show. We already know essentially what's going to happen. Said in the group chat, it was like, before we all confirmed we had watched it, it was like, it's really weird not spoiling East Blue in 2023. It's like, oh, have you made it to this guy named Arlong yet? Oh, fuck, you made it to Serb Village yet? And it's like, I need some time before I get to Serb Village.
I mean, but they've already kind of started sowing the seeds for it too, right? Like while Zoro is
the
out,
Mr. Seven scene is kind of insane.
the Mr. Seven scene's insane, but Nami reading the Nolan story to Zoro while he's in bed, I was like, okay, they're sowing the seeds of like, this is a very famous story.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there are people out there that are like, and I think I'm in that same boat where I'm like, I mean, Nolan was a potential Joy Boy, right? Like once upon he was just wrong man at the wrong time, but you know, given the right circumstances, he could have been. And like that's very like One Piece, right? So
I will say,
I don't know. I think it's why I'm like, I feel like they get through Crocodile and then they will see they'll play it by ear. Like everything seems to be played by ear. And so I go, we'll see. I think I mapped out the 12 seasons.
No, I think you did a really good job.
I think I mapped it out. I think if you combine Punk Hazard and Dressrosa, that's a season, which I'm going to change that. We'll combine those two into a season. Only because I think the final saga is worthy of two.
Well, plus, I'm curious where they're going to start doing cliffhangers, because there's going to start getting really interesting cliffhanger points where like you could really, like, for example, right? We think
you know where I think they do their first cliffhanger.
I would do
genuinely. It would be in season 3. Because I think my real thought is that like we'll get a 13 to 16 episode season for season 2. And that first half is like they'll get Chopper and then head to Alabasta, and that'll be like part 1, and then Alabasta will be like 5 to 8 episodes, and that'll be part 2. But no, you want to know where I would put the first, like, I would put it at the end of Skypia.
With who?
Oh, I'll tell you with who. So you get your Jaya stuff, you get your Skypia stuff, and we already kind of assume it's going to be a little, are we sure about this show? And it literally ends where they come out of the sky and they land on some beach and they meet Aokiji, and Aokiji freezes the shit out of like the whole crew except for Luffy. And Luffy goes, freeze me instead, save my crew. And the season ends with a frozen Luffy. And we have to get him to Water 7 because it's the only island nearby. I'm straight up cutting Foxy, by the way. Bye.
Oh yeah.
Adios, motherfucker. Bye.
He doesn't need to be there.
Even though he's in a wanted poster, I'm like, Aokiji caught him. Sure. Let Foxy show up in fucking prison or whatever when they do Impel Down. Anyway, like I would put it at the end. I'd put it at the end of Skypia. You go, Luffy's just defeated God, right? Lightning God. Luffy has been borderline unstoppable. He beat a warlord. He beat someone who called himself God. He's saved 2 countries, and then a Marine catches him that isn't his grandpa or Smoker, and he freezes him. And then we go, bye. Which means season 4 is them rushing to Ain's lobby to like take care of him.
See, I think so. We have the same kind of idea in terms of, I think it revolves around Aokiji as the first cliffhanger, because I think he fits this perfect role of like, he will give live action viewers something to look forward to, and he's connected because he's involved in a lot in early One Piece. I think people don't realize how many arcs he's technically on the sideline or in the background of. But I would put him borderline at the end of season 2, and like him and Garp talking and being like, oh, this is your grandson. I should go pay him a visit. Because to manga readers, and this don't got to be long, but like to manga readers, you know what that means. It's to live action viewers, you're going to be like, not that anyone's totally brand new to One Piece, but it's like, okay, like it's your introduction of your first clear heavy hitter, which is why, and I still kind of maintain this. I'm not going to say they did it wrong, but I would have really preferred any other Marine than Garp to be like this involved in season 1. To me, and this could be a shitty opinion. I don't know, but like Garp is so important to that world. Like he's literally more important to the world than Luffy is at this stage in time. Like the Straw Hats are nobody still. Garp, literally after the jump, they're like, Kobe's like, who's here? And Helmeppo's like, you don't know Garp, the hero of the Marines? And it's like, your boy is a big fucking deal to that world. And I just wish that, and I like the fact everybody's like, even Morgan's more scary, or I don't know if influential is the right word, but like he's even a slightly bigger deal than he was in the Inner manga, where he's essentially a one-shot villain. It's like he shows up, he tries to kill Zoro, he gets punched, and it's like, okay, now we're done with Morgan. Or I'm sorry, if you read the cover pages, you got Morgan's little escape story. Cool, congrats.
Which I guess they gave to Kuro.
Yeah, and but it's like, I just. And I could be wrong after we have a few seasons of this, and like once there's more here with Garp. And I know the anime technically even gave us more Garp than the manga did, because the anime did animate the cover stories of Helmeppo and Garp, of Helmeppo and Colby's training. So I could just be old man. I could be old man complaining right now, and I'm fine if I'm wrong in a few years. But with that being said, because Garp's involved, I do think Aokiji, for his impact in the world, we know he's the first big bad. Everybody that is up to date or even slightly current they know what that means. It's going to be Luffy's first really big loss, because up to that point, the crew had taken losses, because Enel gave the crew a loss. He just couldn't beat Luffy specifically, but he destroyed Zoro. He beat up like Robin, like Sanji. I want to see that scene live action. I have one request: if you get to Skypiea, I don't care how you do it with special effects, but I need to see Sanji get electrocuted and light his cigarette. I need that to still be a thing. I just need, I don't care how you do it. Just, I need it. Please and thank you.
Yeah.
And so I think, but Aokiji just kind of making his presence known, because it's also going to answer a big question for us, which is, what are we going to do with the overly tall fucks? And I know when you and Jake and I discussed,
you have to let it go.
But
you have to let it go.
And that's fine. I'll let it go. But you at least show everybody what the direction is going to be. The same way you've got to show everybody the direction that when we start getting into giants, what are we going to do with the giants? Like eventually, just to set, like, because you've got to set your standard. I don't necessarily care. I'm not here to bitch. It's not my head argument. My head argument's with Oda specifically, and that's because he could draw whatever the fuck he wants. But you got to set your standard for what is, like, how you are going to illustrate and demonstrate these people. And no, I'm not asking for them to be on stilts. I'm not going to ask them to be crazy, but like, show me what they're going to look like, and show me what, because especially Aokiji, who's weird as fuck. Your boy bikes across the ocean with a penguin.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, I think he's funny enough that you can get away with still being like the One Piece comedy, because Aokiji doesn't take himself seriously. And I hope the live action version of him doesn't take himself seriously. And if he does, fine, whatever. They've, like I said, it's not off brand, but slightly different characters. Yeah. And I think it'd be really interesting to like cliffhanger with an admiral, because you know what that represents.
I would say, because I mean, technically we got our cliffhanger with this season is Smoker was the cliffhanger at the end. That's not, that is kind of like
Smoker. We know what Smoker means, and Smoker is nobody
knows who Smoker is. All we know is we're actually going to Rogue Town or Logue Town, whatever they end up calling it. No, so I would say realistically, we cut big humans out. We cut them. I don't think they add anything to the story. I think height's weird, and then you exaggerate the fuck out of giants. Like, giants are giant because they are giant,
You don't got to exaggerate them. If they were just giants and no big humans, they'd already feel, even in the manga, they would feel massive.
No more big humans. I think that gets cut. I think it's too hard to do. And I think the perfect person that set that up was Arlong. Arlong being like normal height for a guy.
Yeah, no, he's not short, but he's not demonstratively big.
Yeah, he isn't like picking Zoro up and then dangling him. He's not picking up a 6-foot Zoro and like having him be like 2 feet off the ground. You know what I mean? Because he's that tall. Yeah, you cut the big humans. It's too hard to do. Looks better on paper anyway. When everybody is normal human size in a live action, like you as a viewer aren't like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah, again, looks great in an anime, looks great in a manga. It doesn't work in live action. It's too expensive from a production standpoint to have to make sure people are taller, whether you are doing it in camera or if you're CGing them to be bigger.
What if they just actually like hired, and this is weird take here, and I don't even know if this works because I don't know who they've already started attempting to cast for certain roles. But like, what if they did just like try to find some people who were like my height actors? I don't know how many of them actually exist, but like, because you would still get the effect, because I would look like, I'm not 10 feet tall, but I would look like Aokiji Kuzan Kainu if everybody else in the script is 5'10", 6 feet tall. Like, you still get that effect of like this person towering over. And I'm curious, and it's not so much with Arlong, and I think this role I'm only going to be a little weird about it with the admirals and maybe the emperors, because there is something to that. Just if we had 7 tall people, like in the entire of One Piece casted, like the 3 admirals were casted as tall people and the 4 emperors were casted as tall people, like once again, you need the effect. You don't need the actual, like, we don't need the CGI or affect you to be 9-10 feet tall. If you're just 6'5", 6'6", 6'7", and I can't tell. I think Luffy's actor is 5'10", 5'11", something like that. Like, he's not overtly tall, but he's not short. So like, if you ran up somebody against him that was my height or around my height, like, you would still get that effect of like, because to me, some of those shots are really, I don't necessarily say iconic, I feel like it's kind of stretching iconic, but like Luffy looking up to Doflamingo, like that isn't like, you could tell someone that, and you could think in your head to like the panel. You could think to, you say it all the time. It's like, there are things Luffy has to overcome. And I think that's not that's defining One Piece, but that is very important in the story of 1,000 little things. That's a little thing. But it's a big little thing. And like, if you just literally casted tall people.
I mean, I think I would rather have the ability to act versus the look of the act. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, if I
don't know how many tall actors there are, so I wanted to preface
there's
that.
a shit ton, but
okay, there you go.
I think,
or Adam Sandler's Keys. I will take that.
Like, if this show has taught me anything, I think we're not getting any A-listers, which is great. We shouldn't.
Oh yeah, no.
But I think I'm telling you that effect isn't as necessary as you might think it is. Because you could do so much, right? You can do so much, like, in camera, like in production, like post-production. You can do so much. But like, things look better on paper than they do in real life.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm like, if they found a 7-foot tall person to play an admiral, cool. But I don't think they could. And 2, I'm like, here's an example. In Game of Thrones, there's a dude called the Mountain, and he's a big motherfucker.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't really. He's a great. Well, he doesn't really get a chance to act because his character doesn't talk. And in the last couple seasons, he has a helmet on the whole time. But so who even knows if he's on? But like, he doesn't. like he feels big when like the biggest this character feels in my brain is when another character is like on his knees in front of him getting his head's fucking like squashed. And like that act like the guy that played the mountain I think is like 6'6", and he's fucking huge.
Yeah,
And then the dude he squishes is like 5'8", 5'9". And you're like, yeah, okay, cool. But like when they're standing next to each other, because they do have a fight, he doesn't feel that big. And so that's the other thing where I'm like, yeah, you could have like this whole thing. Like you could have like, hey, Luffy blocking a giant Doflamingo's foot with his foot
cool
in live action. I think you could also make it work with them being equal height. You know what I mean? Like, oh, Doflamingo is slightly taller than Luffy. He isn't 9 feet tall, but he is like, 6'8" to Luffy's 5'10". You know what I mean? And you're like, he's like 6'6" to Luffy's 5'10". He's like 6'4" to Luffy's 5'10". You see where I'm going? It's like, it's not. I think it depends on like how the camera's positioned. It depends on the build up to it, and I swear to God, you won't miss it.
I think something that is
really... unless like for me, I watch a ton of shit, and so I'm like, I'm not looking for the manga. I'm looking for the live action version of the manga, and so I know what to expect.
I think one of the things that also really does help out with that is like the actual aesthetic of the show, which is the set pieces are just incredible.
Yeah, the ships are huge,
just incredible. The ships, like I said, Arlong Park was fucking dope. Like you said, and I have to apologize. I called you a dirty fucking liar because you had seen the first couple episodes before me, and you were like, "Oh, Syrup Village is actually cool." And in my head, my immediate response was just, "Fuck you, you dirty fucking liar! Like that art can't be cool."
No,
like,
I finished Syrup Village and I was like, hell yeah. And then what they did with Baratier, where what did I say? Who did I say was gonna get cut?
Oh, Krieg, yeah.
Oh, Krieg had less screen time than me, and I've never been on camera. So
see, I think to the camera angle point, because like that shot of Kuro with the claws like behind Mary is like this really cool, like it's dark, it feels like horror movie because that is technically what they're trying to go for with Kuro. It's like this murder mystery thing until he gets caught, like darker Scooby-Doo kind of shit.
Yeah,
but and he's not he's not so much bigger than the actor playing Mary, but the shot of like all the claws behind him and the claws being like emphasized to be really big, it's like, okay, you do shit like that, fine. Then no, I don't need somebody that's 6'8" to be casted as Whitebeard, even if I would love it.
Yeah, they
I have
also
no clue how the fuck they do Whitebeard also, because
if you want to make someone look towering too, it's a really simple camera trick. You literally just point it up.
Yeah, but I mean
no.
That goes away once they're next to each other.
Exactly, but you know what that also shows me at that point? That Luffy is on the same level as this towering figure that we saw. And I'm like, hell yeah. You know what we probably won't get? Oh, we might get, but like it would be slightly different. And I think we will get it. Crocodile impaling Luffy.
Oh, I think we absolutely get that. I mean,
but
if we get
I don't think Crocodile is going to be lifting up a Luffy in physical form.
I think he'll stabbing Zoro.
I think you know what I think it'll look like? I think he'll be in sand form, so you can make him bigger. Right? Because you have this CG thing. But like basically what you would do, and it would actually be pretty clever. You could have like this kind of like green out thing, and basically the rig it's less a rig. Basically you rig up Iñaki so that he's getting impaled, right? And the equivalent of it would be kind of like this platform that the actor for Crocodile would be on. It'd be green, right? And they would be like in their getup, but they would have basically Luffy would be over this. Basically, that's how you would have this towering like Luffy like being impaled, and Crocodile's in sand form. The head could be like real, and the rest could be sand. Um, but here's Luffy getting impaled, and he's like 10 feet in the air, and then he gets dropped, right? And that would have a big impact moment. That would be a huge impact moment.
Oh yeah, I'm excited.
It's relatively simple to do. Relatively simple being Hollywood for it's only probably like a week worth of work for this one shot.
I'm really excited to see Logias because I think that, like I said, I think there's a lot of super fans on that are behind the process of this, and it's very obvious, and I've seen it a lot already on Twitter, is like, oh, Logias aren't going to look good. Logias aren't going to look good. That we all know it's going to be hard to make a Sandman or a Smoke Man or a Fireman, but they know that too. And so when they have 3 years to really try this out and see what looks the best, I didn't think up until when this was first announced 2 or 3 years ago, I was in the club of Luffy stretching. It's almost impossible to look good. It looks really good 99% of the time. Like I don't have a scene in my head that I was like, oh, and that I was going in nitpicky for, because if you couldn't get
the stretching,
because if you couldn't get the stretching down more than any other power in that world, as weird as it sounds, don't do it. If you can't figure that out, it's the main character. It's an iconic power now in real time. And it's like, if you can't if they went a year into this and like the stretching still looked funny, not that they're going to listen to me, but I would have said, yo, scrap it. If you can't make Luffy look correct, you just don't do it, because then you're going to run into the same problem that all these other live action anime adaptations have had, which is the main character looks weird. The main character isn't selling it. It's not going to work. Cowboy Bebop, that main cast, it didn't work. That's why they only got a season and no one ever wants to see him again. Assassination Classroom, they put a bobblehead on my boy, and then they just it's crock shit, and it's just
the only reason
the main character look good, don't do it.
The only reason I'm like this, I was like even kind of excited for One Piece, because I was definitely in the camp when it got announced. I was like, this isn't gonna be anything special. You know what I mean?
Netflix was gonna profit for a weekend and go bounce.
Netflix was gonna flop. And then I heard like how much every episode had cost, and I was like, fuck, this is gonna be rough. And then they dropped that one trailer, and you get to see Roger for the first time in that trailer, and you go, oh, like Alex
Roger's
was
really good.
Alex was watching the first episode with me, and I think she was just in the room, but she was like, oh shit, I didn't realize he died like that. And I was like, yeah. And she was like, is that like that in the manga? And I'm like, literally exactly like that. And so I was like, I saw that trailer and I was like, you know what? This looks really good. This looks really fun. And I went in and I was like expecting cheese. I got my cheese because it's the snails talk as phone. The snails are fucking phones. It's gonna be cheesy. No, but what I forget is that the storytelling is so fucking good.
Yeah.
And that was my thing what I was talking about with Geo. And I was like, it's the story, man. I can't do Bleach because there's no story. There's no nuance to Bleach. It's all moments. It's all clip shows. But the thing that holds One Piece together isn't the fucking special effects, practical effects. It's not the stretching. It's the fucking storytelling. No, and for me, 100%. Like especially when you get to Nami, it's like, hey, real sad I didn't get this walk to Arlong Park just like the comics.
Oh, I think they.
But no. I'm like, I don't get this like 5-minute scene of them walking there to Arlong Park. The famous walk to Arlong Park didn't really happen, and it's like, no. That storytelling though is
The walk to Arlong Park is also, and I love it like every other fucking One Piece nerd, but like it is literally just do on a still frame. Like,
Yeah, it's just too.
not,
It's like it's the equivalent of like, all right, here, ding, 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 ding,
yeah,
ding. Like you
it's
know what I
not like
mean.
this. It's
I'm
not
glad you
this.
don't
Um,
nitpick One Piece.
yeah, it is not this, beautifully animated, like crazy scene. It was like, no, your boy just, they were like, yo, we heard this was it's not even a moment in the
You know
manga.
what
I don't
they?
think they do it. I think it goes
I
straight
think
from
it's just the
fucking,
anime,
yeah, I
but
think you get the
I
Nami scene still, but then I think it literally goes
I
Nami
think the walk's
scene.
maybe like a panel, maybe.
Yeah.
But I think what like really works that the show did really well was like they do the part where like Nami asks for help and Luffy goes, "Yep, we're gonna do that," and then it pans out from like Luffy like doing his thing to like the crew listening,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, that's the fucking moment you keep every time.
Do
The
you,
fucking Sanji lighting up a cigarette, Zoro like sitting there, and Usopp like standing. Like
mm,
that is
that
the
shot's great.
fucking that's the Renaissance painting you fucking keep every single time.
I will ask before we get out of here really quick,
Yep.
in a minute or less, because I've heard a lot. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of this character to begin with, so I didn't feel a way, but I know there's a lot of Usopp fans who felt like he got shanked in season 1.
Because Usopp janks himself everywhere.
Like,
What more do you want? He blew up a fishman, which is all he does in East Blue. name name something else he does. The only thing I'm sad I didn't get was Usopp Hammer, and I totally understand why I didn't get it, but because I was sitting there like sit up, fishman, sit up, because I was like fully prepared for homie to pull out a hammer and beat the fuck out of him, and then like whip a rubber band at him and then beat the shit. Like it's almost even more comical the way they do it because it's this huge, it's the only fucking explosion because buggy balls don't exist, right? But like he literally like
I was
blows.
disappointed in that because
Oh, it's so much.
they literally
It's
show you that he destroyed the fucking town, and I'm thinking to my, as soon as
he
you
does
get like Nami runs
it.
out and goes,
Yeah,
holy shit, why'd you like, why does the town look like this? Which, by the way, I let them keep their hands should go in like the Hall of Fame of writing for someone like
it's
Oda has
cold.
never written a line
It's
that
cold
good for
as
Buggy.
fuck.
I was like,
It,
oh, we
you
here.
took everything from them. Oh, I let them keep their hands, and then they clap.
Yeah,
I was like, cold. Buggy's
that.
cold.
I thought that would have been
Buggy
like the
pulling the
buggy
Shiki
ball
move.
though. Not that the buggy ball
No,
is easy to replicate in live
no,
action, but
no.
like to me, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's how he destroys towns.
When everything explodes, it's real boring. So like when you have maybe maybe two explosions, and one of them is the fucking sniper shooting a fireball and blowing up a fishman, and then he walks back like to like Zoro and Sanji did all the fucking work at Arlong Park, and then he
Oh yeah.
walks back in like all hot shit because he's like, I just fucking took out a fishman, and then they look at each other and go like that. Like they just kind of like roll their eyes like, oh, Usopp's back, cool.
It,
But like we the viewer knows that he did shit. I'm like I love it every time.
dramatic irony at its finest. No, yeah. I thought they did do a really good job of that, which is, so I didn't love my actual last comment. I didn't love the whole not a crew bit for the first couple episodes. To me, it was like it felt like, okay, we're gonna be a little different, but I was like, I didn't understand. I understand now. They kept them closer earlier than the actual crew was in the beginning of the series, because like Nami's involved, like Nami's just with the crew pretty much the whole time, versus she's not the second half of Baratie, and then obviously most of Arlong Park, she's not really with the crew. But I didn't love that bit, but I did think, and this matters because this is a long running joke that the fandom would have just had heart attacks over. I think Sanji and Zoro did a really good job of the whole the like dislike relationship they have, which is I need you, but fuck you. And I think they did a
Yeah.
really good job of that, which that's hard because you know that's coming, and as an actor, it's like, okay, I already know this thing is established. I know I have to live up to it, and it's because it's not a super serious thing. You can't necessarily surpass the bar. You just have to meet the bar, and I thought they did a really fucking good job of that dynamic.
Yeah, I did too. I also appreciated that it was harder than Luffy just talking to them to like get them to join the crew. Like Nami needs to see a million ways why Luffy is different from Arlong.
Oh yeah.
It's not as simple as like, well, I saved you. You know what I mean? Luffy needs to also see Usopp be a good person before he goes, oh, okay, you're gonna join my crew. Like,
yeah, he's not just happy.
Like,
he is not just happy go lucky Luffy, which
but
he is in the
also
beginning.
Zoro being inspired by Luffy's carefree is, I think, a lot better than him going, okay, I'm gonna follow a pirate. The pirate hunter, the cop turned into a pirate versus talking like oh, all I needed was the right words, and and Zoro joined my crew because he's honorable, which is the manga, versus it's like, hey, join my crew, and Zoro goes, all right, whatever, and then he gets inspired by his captain,
yeah,
to be better. Which again, that's just taking the context of everything. It's the context of what we already know.
No, 1,000%.
But we fit it back right in.
Yeah. Well, it's time to go eat dinner. So
yes, it is.
With that being said, appreciate everybody for listening. Matt's gonna share his ribs. Don't forget to go check out.
They might go in the trash, and I might get Chinese tonight.
Well, hey man.
Well, there we go.
Don't forget, as always, go check out Group Chat, go check out Hardfire Radio, go check us out on wherever you listen to podcasts, go check out your socials, go check out Incognito Mode as well. Don't forget, she got an episode coming out most likely Saturday. Right? Did I just lie to the people? Are you going out Saturday? Are you putting out an episode Saturday, or did I just lie to everybody? She said, yeah. So go and get an episode on Saturday. If not, I'll just re-edit this and delete this last clip. So we're gonna catch y'all next week, man. We out.
Hey, peace out, dude.